Okay, thank you very much everybody for coming in and listening to the talk. I'm Lee Duhnam, Director of Business Development at the Cell and Gene Therapy Catapult. And we're an independent innovation and technology organisation with the aim of accelerating the development and delivery of advanced therapies across the globe. We've been established for about 13 years and built a range of capabilities to better partner with a variety of stakeholders, both in the therapy development space, but also looking at innovative technologies and working with everybody from academia through to pharma, CDMOs, supply chain and tech developers as well. We work globally. We've got a number of international partnerships, but we are based in the UK, in the middle of the largest cluster of cell and gene therapy companies outside of the US. And just over a year ago, it was recorded that UK companies secured 55% of all VC funding across all of Europe. So just testament to the fantastic research and development that's being done in the country, and recognised by a number of notable kind of deals, investments and announcements that we've all seen recently. The industry is continuing to grow in the UK. We've got a growing skills workforce with a huge amount of experience in development, manufacture and clinical delivery. GMP manufacturing facility size and number has also continued to increase, responding to the growing market, despite sort of the hiccups and delays over the last few years. And we've heard as well in the ARM briefing yesterday and in recent reports that investment is now starting to recover back to pre-pandemic levels and trending in the right direction. And we've got a growing sort of clinical pipeline as well, and ultimately increasing number of approved therapies within the UK infrastructure. But we obviously still have a number of problems in the industry that we're all probably very well aware of. We've heard the investment landscape has changed. It's recovering, but where investments are now being made has changed to where it was a few years ago. Cost of goods remains high, which is something we hear time and time again. And there are a number of commercial barriers in place which are preventing reimbursement and adoption within the market. But we don't think any of these problems are overly insurmountable. We're all doing a lot of work as an industry to overcome these. And at the Cell and Gene Therapy Catapult, we've got a number of pillars. Change slide. There we go. A number of pillars that we're working on to try and address some of these challenges. We're working to create investable ventures, so working with early stage companies, working to reduce COGS through process optimizations and scaling up that manufacture, and then ultimately making sure that the infrastructure and framework is there to adopt these and deliver them equitably to patients. So diving into these areas in a bit more detail. With the changing investment landscape and the fantastic work that's being done in universities, we see that there's a bit of a problem in that a lot of innovation is stuck within academia. And I don't think this is just true for the UK, it's an international problem, where real promising life-changing therapies are getting stuck because of a lack of investment and a view of a slightly risky nature of the technologies. But we're working with academics to try and de-risk their innovations without them having to rely solely on the whim of winning or not winning grant funding. Working with them to identify what barriers there may be to commercializing their product, accessing the capabilities that we have within the organization and investing in kind into these pre-seed companies, and working to create investable opportunities and partnering them up with potential investors and working with them to secure further funding. And we are also now making sort of small cash investments into these pre-seed companies as well, helping them to generate extra data that again helps them de-risk and present their investable opportunity. And we've had a number of examples over the last few years where we've worked with academics who have then gone on to secure successful seed raises and beyond. The next problem is cost of goods. This has been a problem and continues to be a problem at every conference talk that we all go to. Current processes are largely inefficient, analytics are expensive, and there's a lot of risk around testing out the variety of new technologies that are being brought to the market. And we saw in Matt's talk a moment ago the variety of new technologies that are being brought through for automation. They're also very costly, and there's a lot of risk in diverting resources away from your clinical programs to testing out the variety of new technologies that are available. But at the Catapult, being sort of the non-profit organisation that we are, we're able to sort of spend a lot of our time and effort looking at these innovative technologies, proving their implementation and the benefit that it can then provide within therapeutic and manufacturing processes. So we've established in-house capabilities within our process and analytical development laboratories, establishing kind of version 1 exemplar production processes for a range of modalities, viral vector, allogenic, and autologous cell therapies. Using these, we're then able to optimize, improve, and test out both new technologies and new approaches to really drive down cost of goods, improve efficiency, and productability of those products. And we're now pushing ahead with kind of version 2 and version 3 of these capabilities. So looking to drive yield through kind of batch perfusion processing, using novel process analytical technologies, and then digital twins for kind of real-time monitoring and advanced process control. And then moving towards parallelized, now the animation comes in. Working to parallelize and move these products to be more, or processes to being more continuous. And the COGS kind of represent a number of the different areas that we're looking at and building on with our partners, ranging from novel digital tools, approaches, models, process analytical technologies, kind of automation robotics, and novel cell engineering as well. Obviously, when you've then got an optimized process, it then turns to scaling it out or scaling it up. But there'll be an increasing need with the size of the patient populations that we're all needing to address, and kind of echoed by Matt's slides before, where demand is outstripping supply at the moment. Companies need reliable, reproducible manufacturing at scale and under their own control. We've established GMP mirroring digital and automation test beds, which are in previous GMP modules to be able to evaluate new technologies, so both robotics, but also sort of large-scale technologies, large bioreactors, digital systems. So you can test these technologies within a real-world environment before then transferring them into the complex GMP environments. The infrastructure and facilities we have allow companies to grow from being small sort of two-man operations through to large multinational companies growing through our facilities. We had Autolus as our case study working with us in our manufacturing centers, who worked with us from their early stages, established their manufacturing within our GMP facilities, and have now submitted BLA, expecting approval hopefully soon, and have been graduated out of the facility and have established their own manufacturing facility as a result. And over the last 13 years, we've developed a range of expertise in supporting a number of companies to establish their own manufacturing capability. And we can then help to accelerate other companies setting up their GMP facilities within the UK, and hopefully then move forward to BLA, MAA submission, and developing their products. And then finally, the final problem of actually having these products adopted by the market and delivered to patients equitably. Current regulatory frameworks are complex. There are a number of reimbursement challenges that companies are facing, and generally a lack of healthcare system readiness. But in the UK, there's a growing number of clinical trials being brought to patients. 9% of all global trials have representation in the UK, and 80% of these are by commercial sponsors. And the whole adoption community within the UK are committed to enabling timely access to ATMPs, getting these products to the patients where they're really needed. And there's a number of initiatives, networks, and activities being done to make it as accessible as possible and easy for companies to bring their products to patients. We've established and coordinated the Advanced Therapy Treatment Centre network in the UK, which connects clinical trial sites, the NHS, industry, and regulators together to allow accelerated sharing of learning across the healthcare system and make it as easy as possible to deliver products to the patients. And we're now setting up a UK-based Centre of Excellence for Research Science Innovation focused on ATMPs, bringing together the industry and closely with the regulators to look at how we can modify and adapt the regulatory frameworks in the UK and fit in with regulatory frameworks across the world as well. And there are a number of initiatives looking at reimbursement and recognition within the UK. Working with NICE, with the MHRA, to make it as appealing for companies to bring their products, removing those commercial barriers. And a number of initiatives being led by the MHRA for early engagement and continued support to accelerate progress through the clinic and have constant feedback and advice. And the NHS are now revising their commercial frameworks as well to have indication-specific pricing and appealing kind of reimbursement models that are flexible to the changing industry. And then finally, our role is to collaborate and work with the entire industry, helping to overcome the challenges that we're all facing. These challenges evolve and change as the industry continues to grow, and we work to build consortia, bringing like-minded partners together to identify what challenges we're facing as an industry and working together to then share some best learnings and hopefully new solutions that we can all benefit from. And these are just an example of some of the consortia projects and collaborations that we're currently scoping and building. And please do reach out and find out more about any of these topics or share any other challenges or areas that you think would be useful to look at in partnership. Thank you very much.